Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another bite-sized branding. I always get held up on that. I'm not sure if I should say afternoon, late afternoon,
It's
evening. I don't know.
afternoon. It's
It's
afternoon.
afternoon. Just stick with afternoon. Okay, afternoon it is. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another bite-sized branding live show. Welcome to everyone that's going to be joining us on this Friday. I'd like to welcome Grant to the show. Grant is on this side. Grant, who's always joining me. He's my right hand. Is that my right hand even? That's no. Right now, you're my left hand man, even though it looks like you're on my right. Couldn't have this show without you. It's always a pleasure to have your insights on the show. Today, it's just a duo. It's the two of us covering up a couple of little fun subjects that we've wanted to cover up for a little bit now. And before we get the show kicking off, I'm going to chuck it over to Grant. Grant, whoops, this way. Give everyone a little idea of how the show is going to run. And while you do that, I'm going to prep the timer.
Fantastic. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Grant Tom, and I'm known in the industry as the head fire starter. And what that means is I talk to people and business owners with a view to get their ideas up and launched, make their brands valuable, and make sure that we can grow and scale and make that brand story become real to their consumers. What we do here today is Bernard and I are the two duo that are on the show. And today is a busking session. We are merely just busking away at the subject matter we know best, which is marketing, advertising, and digital display. And one of the things that we'd like to do is just really just taunt ourselves by putting a timer into play. So normally when we have a guest, we'll go to 7 minutes. When it's just the two of us, it's 5 minutes. And we were thinking about making it 3 minutes, but then we thought we wouldn't get any points across. So we're going to stick to 5. But at the same time, we've got 3 very interesting subjects. So Bernard, over to you.
Oh, man, you're much better at that. You pointed the right direction. Now, everybody that's listening, I don't know if you noticed, but my mobile phone stand broke a long time ago. So if you just happen to find yourself with a mobile phone stand that you want to send my way,
because it's hampering the show.
Yeah, man, I don't want to hold
where we are at.
That's it. Grant doesn't know what time it is. Awesome, Grant. Thank you very much for running us through that. We do have some fun little subjects that we're going to talk about today. Some traditional advertising stuff, some fun advertising, and looking at the ways that people are using technology to engage with their customers. So are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome, man. So the first thing we're going to talk about, actually, this one was your concept, animals in advertising, which is a pretty open-ended concept. So let's see where this goes. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts on animals and their use in advertising, and how a lot of brands have adapted the use of animals into their brand. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Let me hit this little baby. Go.
So basically, Bernard, when it comes to animals in advertising, and especially when we are in the creative rooms brainstorming and the word animals and advertising comes together, you always have a whole lot of people looking at each other in shock, because the rule is you do not use animals or children when you are filming, because you are going to be in for a challenging day, because you can't prescribe, you can't condition, you can't negotiate. They will do what they want to do on that particular day, and it can be extremely challenging. But here's the thing, though, is that animals play a vital role in our communication channel. They're part of our family. They're part of our enhancement. And the way we got onto the subject matter was your cat was in the background moaning for food. So therefore we said, hey, let's just bring it into the show and let's work with it. So people love animals. People endear animals. But, man, on the other side of the fence, preparing, it's been very, very challenging. I've had a couple of personal experiences, but at the end of the day, it helps a brand story get remembered by target audiences.
Do you think CGI has now made that a much more obtainable goal?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Much more controlling, much more involving, more expressions are coming to the front, more actions than ever before coming to the front. Yeah, CGI has definitely made a big leap in that front.
Do you know one that always comes to mind thinking about animals in advertising is the meerkat from Compare the Market? You know, there's like that little thing. I've even seen little plush toys that you can get of the meerkat. Like it's become like an actual thing. There he is, meowing.
There we go.
So it's becoming an actual.
Okay, we've lost Bernard. Bernard, are you there?
Oh, I lost my Wi-Fi for a second.
Yeah, you
I'm
were
back.
frozen. I thought we were having a
Oh,
take two of last week's show.
oh man, yeah, well, we just dropped out completely. Yeah. So what I was saying is like it's actually become like a little family icon. Everybody
Yeah,
knows the meerkat, you know.
but you must understand the hook, Bernard, in the sense that there
Yeah.
are kids.
Oh, look at you, you too. He's on the ring.
Oh, we got phones ringing, we got everything going. This is a
Everything's
live
happening.
show.
It's a
Okay.
lot.
So one of the things that we look at, right, is that kids look at the show. They
Mhm.
they start to associate with the characters. They start to ask questions, and actually they become reminders to the parents that talk about the brand or the characters. So you can find Dulux the dog.
Mm.
All these kind of things is where people resonate. Koalas is a big winner in Australia. When people are using koalas, it just gets people's attention. When it's warm and fuzzy with a little baby,
Mhm.
it tends to get all that little fuzziness. And basically, people build association through families.
Do you think that maybe there's an element of nostalgia? Like when we were
Oh,
kids, all
yes.
the cereal had like all the cereal had little cartoon characters, and
Yeah.
a lot of the cartoons we watched were all like little animals that we were familiar with.
Yes.
Um, Maybe that's the thing that rings true as an adult is that little bit of a throwback, a little bit of that childhood feeling that builds that little connection. Like even Optus, with the whole like little zoo of animals that they have.
Yeah.
There are a lot of brands that are adapting animals into their advertising.
Well, animals become good brand stories, and animals have always been
Mm.
part of our family in the sense of being part of the family and have characters. So therefore, whenever there is a feature of an animal, once again, you want to relate, you are relating, and it doesn't matter how old you are to how young your kids are. There's a form of attention with the view to grab and hold that presence if there's some form of viewing, and also that connectability to the animal as well. So animals do play a
Yeah.
key role.
It's like it's relatable.
So one of the things that we did, we were shooting with a dog once, and we needed him to like lick his lips. So a trick that you learn is you take a big dollop of peanut butter and you pull it on
Yeah.
the upper part of its palate, and it's licking away, and you just take photographs and you shoot, type of stuff. I had another one where I had a Dalmatian, and he had an original World War II head fire set with the goggles, all that type of stuff
Oh
on,
wow.
and the dog was falling asleep. It was like this thing was going over his head. So once again, it's an incredible opportunity to be in that space, but it is difficult.
And
Brilliant.
I think another thing that's come out there is that it is but CGI has made it obtainable, right? It's
Yeah.
now available to the masses. You can have pets, animals, characters of any kind in your ads. Do you think alien like characters? Okay, I got to ask this though because it came to me just in that last moment. Do you think alien-like characters, like kind of more sci-fi ish, like undescribable characters, like the little crazy frog character,
Yeah.
are just as
Or
relatable
Monster
as
Inc. Those characters from Monster Inc. Beta.
oh yeah, oh, and the Despicable Me characters. Actually, I don't even need to ask the question, right? Why is that? There's something about them that make them so relatable.
But once again, it's about expressions, it's about eye
Mm,
movement, and it's about body language. So once
mm,
again, the more you can manipulate and make associated communication gestures, then once
mm.
again you're going to resonate with the view to create features and enhance. And of course, when you're talking, said, did you see that advert with that? Oh, it looked so good.
So
How did
good.
they
Yeah,
do that? And of course, that's what ultimately everyone wants to do is get talking, and of course the noting to have optimal level.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. There was
Well, that
a
5 minutes went very quickly, even though
yeah,
we
that was
froze, we had
actually
the phone ring, we've had
everything.
everything.
Everything happened in that 5 minutes. Who would have known? Um, Hopefully, we'll see what happens next. Maybe torrential rain. It would be funny if like the cops busted in here for something. Like just the show
Yeah,
goes crazy, just absolutely nuts. Let's just do it. I think
we should stage it one day.
next week. Like, sorry guys, I just gotta hold the show. There's cops at my door and take me away. That'll be great. That'll really make it go viral. Cool, man. So the next show, the next topic we want to talk about is, are billboards still relevant? and I'm gonna look forward to kind of expanding on this and see, what's actually going out there in this very traditional, what people consider a traditional medium. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Let me get the timer up. Oh, no, I turned the screen, so I can't find the button. There it is. Awesome. Do you want me to kick it off, or do you want to take it away?
Dude, this is your baby. Go.
Man, what kind of came to me with this topic is that quite often billboards are seen as a bit of a traditional medium. And I think even as a traditional medium, it still has a space within the market. And you have to agree. But I think it's all about being front of mind. And it's unintrusive brand recognition that comes through your day without having to be part of your day, if that makes sense. So like, unlike display ads or content ads inside your Facebook feeds and your news feeds and everything, which is almost kind of imposed on you based on who they think you are, a banner ad, a billboard ad, or even a bus ad is unintrusive. It allows you to take the space to take it in if you want to take it in. And I feel that when those ads are done really well, they also create a lot of memorability. They plant that little seed, and then the next touch point you see, just keeps referring to, keeps building on that brand recognition. What are your thoughts on that before we go on?
Let me answer this for you. I've got 3 letters, 1 word. LED. LEDs. Okay? Because LEDs is where we look at how they have been able to transform. The sizes are changing. The most irrelevant spaces are starting to come alive. We've got in-store graphics where we've got little screens around counters. We've got big wraparound signages around buildings. And basically, it's all about making those graphics come alive. It's about the attention grabbing. And I must tell you an incredible story at the end. But what we really got to do is that the graphics, motion graphics, enhancement, color purity of color is played an incredible role. And I think billboards have now evolved even further than ever before. I think they've always been fantastic. I think they've always been creative. But now, more than ever, they have this moment to be ultimate in the sense that there is this engagement opportunity for you to stand and watch and be remembered and have that attention-grabbing time.
I love what they're doing in the train stations now. Like they actually have sound in it. They're somewhat interactive. They actually talk to like are talking to you. They say, "Hey, you're on the station," and start telling you something. So it is pre-recorded, but it grabs your attention because they've made it purpose use. They've made it for the use that it's in. It would be great if somebody actually did customize one of those ads, put a camera on there, and start talking to the people while they're waiting on the station. That would actually be a pretty cool.
Well, they've done this. Okay, so in New York, in Times Square, they've done this. Okay, so what they did was they had a male and a female. And then they got people to SMS who should get dunked. Should the man get dunked or should the female get dunked? And of course, they were SMSing, and whoever got the most SMSs within the time got dunked. Okay, and of course, it was the female they wanted to see get dunked more than the male. But at the end of the day, they were doing things. And then what they did was they went and had a bouncing ball go live into the audience, and now they were part of the screen, interacting with the screen. And participating. So they had a little bit of AI, a little bit of AR, they had a little bit of interactiveness. They got your data in the sense of SMSing. They were touching all the touch points with the view to create that engagement. And once again, it's going to the next level. And that's ultimately where you're sitting at. You're also sitting where, you might have a little column. You can put an LED screen going thin but long, high in there to still give a lot of graphics. You can wrap it around a pillar. Right now, you can't be limited by where you can display. And I think that is where advertisers play in good spaces to create enhancement and extension of their brand. Sorry, I spoke too much. Over to you.
How quick did that go? No, I agree. And what's surprising is that I feel like the cost of running an ad is more affordable these days, but people are not pushing the boundaries anymore. So like when it was like 20 grand to put up a banner, people were hesitant to put one up, and then you'd spend a lot of money doing the print, etc. Now it's like 10 grand, but nobody's saying, well, what can we do with the other 10 grand that we used to spend on the banner? How can we make it interactive? How can we make it, And I do remember Pepsi did a bus ad one time that when you put your phone up against it using augmented reality, a tiger would come out and like jump out at you. And that was a great way of engaging people too. Like there are so many initiatives that can be done using interactivity, using technology and a traditional medium.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things is as we run out of the clock, here we go. Right. So one of the things that I wanted to say is that you just mentioned it with a tiger coming out or a lion coming out. 3D animation or 3D rendering, make flat 2D screens look 3D and things are coming out at you, gets people's attention and makes traffic stop. Ultimately, that's what you want to do. But like you've just said, people are finding things cheaper, but yet they're being less creative because once again, it's about how much time do you really want to play with your brand to that you want to sell? And that word I'm going to come up with now, Bernard. I'm sorry, I've got to use it now. A little bit of edutainment always goes a long way when it comes to creating a little bit of creativity and educational material with a view on enhancing the value that you bring. Sorry, we should have given this part of the segment 10 minutes because there's so much to talk about.
Man, honestly, as you're speaking, I'm coming up with more ideas. Like, why doesn't LG just build a giant screen that's 3D and have glasses like sitting there that are chained to the ground or whatever, and people can pick up and experience the 3D right there? Like, why should they wait until the moment they buy the TV and get it home, or the moment they're in the shop? Imagine they're experiencing it in their day to day. Oh wow, This is what it looks like. Oh wow, this is how good the experience is. You know,
100%.
I remember Kit Kat did one where you could fold a chair out of the billboard and sit on it. And they were like, have a break with Kit Kat. That was phenomenal. Like, why don't people do this anymore? Damn it.
It will come back. Everything goes in circles. They'll come back.
We've got to do it. Some more guerrilla marketing, some more viral stuff. Let's do it.
That's it. Absolutely. Now that went fast.
Yeah, super fast. That's why I pulled the camera up and went, what the hell happened at the time? So the last subject we're going to talk about is all around engagement through creating bespoke experiences for customers.
Engagement. Okay.
So, you know what? I'm not going to fill it in too much. I'm going to let you introduce it. I'm going to hit the timer. Let's do this. Yeah?
With pleasure. Let's go.
Awesome, man.
So the ultimate objective of any business owner, marketing manager, digital implementer, creative thinker is how do you create engagement? Because it now is about talking one-on-one and getting to know people by their name and their preferences rather than to get people in groups, okay? You are being classed in a group, okay? So it's a case of people want to get a letter and it says, hey, Bernard, hello, Grant. You want to have that association. And that sort of gets you a little bit closer that, hey, you know me a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it goes a little bit further in the sense of what can you do or what can be done in order to have a conversation that there is a means to have a communication. I ask a question, you give me an answer. I educate you. You say, gee, wow, what color can I have? And of course, so it goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing you said actually when we were having a chat about this subject before was how people go through this kind of interactive form that's part of the experience that they're having. And for example, they select a color, they say my favorite color is green, and then all of a sudden the whole experience is now green. It has a touch of green to it.
Yeah.
It's something that you don't see too often, but these days the technology is actually getting more and more obtainable, and it's not that far or hard to reach that kind of level of customization.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is. What do you think the apprehension might be for people adopting this technology? Do you think it's more of just historically there's been a big barrier to entry, or do you think there's something that's still?
Look, I think previously technology was the barrier to entry in the sense of just being able to have that flexibility to apply those applications to people's preferences. But, we're looking at where everyone's now got a mobile device. You can set up your mobile device just the way you want to, like your color, your screen, your backgrounds. So once again, now they're starting to get to a point where you're communicating, you're putting the preferences of your color choice, you're sharing a lot of your personality. And of course, they're taking that on board and they're adapting their brand and their preference and their message to give it to you the way you want to receive it, not the way we're going to think you want to get it, in order to make sure that you feel warm and fuzzy when we're talking to you.
Wouldn't that be cool? Like I've changed the color of my browser. It's like a light purpley color. It would be cool if I went to something like a website and then the branding would adapt to the color of my
Why not?
browser, because it already knows what the color of my browser is
Cool.
and uses that to adapt the color of the site. That would be pretty interesting.
But it's not about your screen recognizing you. It's about the brand recognizes who you are and
Yeah,
therefore
yeah.
converts it. And thereby that, I know you a little bit better.
Mhm.
And if you like sports cars and ballroom dancing, well, I'm going to give you stuff that goes around ballroom dancing and sports cars.
Mm.
But if I like sport and I like beaches, like going to surf and that, well, then give me stuff that's around sports and beaches. So once again, it's getting to about knowing my personality and making me feel good and associated to you that there's something with the view that I'm going to take you with me and I'm going to keep you in mind and I'm going to share you to my friends because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to share something that's interest to me.
That would be interesting. I wonder if there's like a global, something like Google could probably do this, where they create like a global element or set of elements where you set parameters, things like color, interests, etc. And as you navigate from site to site, the sites leverage that information that you've put into Chrome to adapt the site to things you like.
They
So
just
let's
do
say,
that on the latest Chrome development. You could choose the
yeah.
color, your color preference that you want your browser to look like.
But
So
could you
you can
imagine if it also affected the websites? Let's say you go to, let's say, an accounting website, and instead of showing you a house because it knows you don't like, you're not interested in property, it shows you a sports car because that's one of the interests. Invest in something you love is the messaging, and then in the background, it knows what you love based on those
that's
interests you plugged
AI.
in.
AI is going to start reading data and giving people what they want, and that's where it's a case of understanding what is happening in real time and to what's happening with real people who are participating, to those who are standing on the fence, looking from a distance and not really sharing or engaging any further.
Can I ask you something though?
Please
Before
do.
I get the camera and this phone in place. Do you think, as much as it is nice and fun to have something customizable, do you also think it may be dangerous because who is controlling this? How are they controlling it? Why is it okay for them to determine this is what you like? Things like that. Like,
Look, that's always going to be a danger.
yeah.
Getting involved and participating is always a danger every single time. And this is why there are such stringent laws. Okay,
Yeah.
why there's such stringent laws as to the people who holds that information, as to how they're going to protect it, how they're going to ensure that it doesn't get stolen or shared without your permission, is where the law is coming down, is that the person who holds it is ultimately has to be responsible. And in some countries, it's got even prison sentence attached to it if you are found letting go of private information. So it's getting very difficult for CEOs and stuff like that to now be in charge of such precautional information, yet they're not necessarily the ones touching it, but it's getting very difficult for them now.
Yeah, it's also, I find it really as good as it is good at creating something that is personalized to you, is as bad as it is trying to find something that you've never looked at before. Like I go to YouTube now, and because I love Christmas music, I listen to it ad hocly through the year. Every second track on the list will be a Christmas song, no matter what I'm listening to. And I'm like, well, YouTube, maybe today I wanted to listen to classical, or I want to listen to hip hop, or I want to listen to jazz. Just because I listen to Christmas music ad hocly but often doesn't mean that I want it part of every playlist. And that's where I would see that it kind of falls over, is it doesn't know how to turn off, maybe is a good way of playing it. Once you turn it on, it starts to really get to understand you, but it doesn't know how to not be on. When I want to find something outside of my regular box, when I want to explore something outside what you've decided is my character.
Yeah. So one of the things that I look at is that everything that is good is bad. So let's take, for example, drones. Drones are awesome and can deliver and can fly and can videotape better than any helicopter can. But you've seen in videos where now you see where they take drones to the next level and they become wars of weapons, weapons of war. So once again, everything that is good, that is interesting, that's fascinating, has a detrimental effect. It comes down to how you use that information, how you do it, and how you enhance with guidelines on how best to do it, but there will always be people pushing the boundary to points of.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that is always just the mark of evolving. We
Yeah.
just have to become more precautionary, unfortunately.
Yeah. Man, really interesting conversation. Those topics, though they seemed very kind of vague when we came up with them, I think the content that actually came out, I even felt really interested in what we were talking about. I was like, oh, I never even really thought of it from this perspective, or I wonder what your opinion would be on this versus this, you know? And I think that's great. I think for a show of just us two, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Well, this is your best show yet, isn't it?
Mate, our best show yet, man. Forget the guests. No more guests. You're not invited. No, I'm kidding.
No more guests. Look, yes, I want to prove a point. That
Sure.
This was a busking show. We busked. We had 3 very mundane topics, but where the value of interest came in the sense of subject matter, point of view, and experience made for interesting content. And this is what the show is all about. Bite-sized branding is about enhancing, finding, pushing boundaries, being able to unbundle the value as to where we live every single day of our lives as marketeers.
What a good wrap up. On that note, Grant, man, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Everybody, thank you very much for following along, for liking, sharing, commenting, etc. Please let us know if there's anyone you want to see on the show.
If you want to be on the show.
Or if you want to be on the show, for sure. Our next show, we're most likely going to be talking about apps, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies. So all those and NFTs. We're going to try and squeeze it all in one show. If we can't, we might actually split it over 2 shows. So please join us for that if you're looking at this new technology or these new growing economies, as you might also put it. There's a lot happening there. It's ever changing. It's ever growing. So we thought we'd highlight it for our last show of the year, which will be, I need to look at my calendar. Our last show of the year, is it 16th? The 17th, Friday the 17th of December. Then we come back on the 20th of January. So we're going to be running the shows on a Thursday as of next year. So first and third Thursday of every month. Same time slot, 4 o'clock, but just on the Thursday. The reason is because we know how hectic Friday can be and how we all want to go out for drinks. And I'm taking away Grant's drinks time. That's what's happening, you know. So Grant got upset at me. No, I'm kidding. No, we want to make it convenient for you guys. We want you to all enjoy it. So we've had a bit of a cry out for moving it to either a Tuesday or a Thursday. If you don't know already, the second Tuesday of every month, we release our MIA blog, which is all about manufacturing in Australia, what's happening there, what's developing, what's growing, and how marketing is changing the manufacturing landscape as well. So there's a lot of exciting information coming through. It's run by my business partner, John Hill. So please tune in for that. And then join us every Thursday on the first and third week of the month. In saying that, Grant, anything else to wrap up the show?
Look, I think that next show is going to be our last show for the year. And so therefore it's going to be a whopper and a good one to just bring it back. We've really covered a spectrum of subjects this year. It's been really formative and informative. I really think that at the end of the day, it's all about the edutainment that you bring. It's all about the edutainment that you're going to get next year. And I think next year is going to be another tangent all on its own bat. So stick close and be part of the show and like, share, tell someone else and be on the show. And content is king.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Look forward to seeing you all on the 17th. And then we'll catch you next year. We'll probably be wearing Christmas hats. Let's get Christmas hats for the next show, yeah? Let's do it. Let's do it. Awesome, guys. Have a good one, and we'll catch you then.
Cheers, then. Goodbye.